The Artemis II mission represents the first time in over 50 years that a crewed spacecraft has traveled to the vicinity of the Moon. Launched on April 1, 2026, the mission utilized the Space Launch System Block 1 rocket and the Orion spacecraft to carry 4 astronauts: Commander Reid Wiseman, pilot Victor Glover, mission specialist Christina Koch, and mission specialist Jeremy Hansen on a 10-day flight path that tested the core systems required for deep space habitation. Let's break it down. The Space Launch System, or SLS, is the most powerful rocket ever built for crewed flight. The Block 1 configuration used for Artemis II stands 322 feet tall and produces 8.8 million pounds of maximum thrust at liftoff. This power is generated by a central core stage measuring 212 feet in height, houses 537,000 gallons of liquid hydrogen and 196,000 gallons of liquid oxygen. It is powered by 4 RS-25 engines, which are upgraded versions of the engines used during the Space Shuttle era. Flanking the core stage, 2 5-segment solid rocket boosters, or SRBs, provide over 75% of the total thrust during the initial 2 minutes of flight. Above the core stage sits the Interim Cryogenic Propulsion Stage, or ICPS, a single-engine upper stage responsible for the initial orbital maneuvers and the push toward the Moon. Above that sits the main component of Artemis II, the Orion spacecraft. Its bottom part is the European Service Module. It provides power, propulsion, and basic needs the astronauts will require, like water and air. Then there's the crew module, or the capsule. This is where the astronauts will live and work. The crew have named it the Integrity. And finally, the Launch Abort System, or LAS. If anything goes wrong during the launch, this will detach from the rocket and safely bring the astronauts to the ground. The mission began at Kennedy Space Center's Launch Complex 39B. Upon ignition at 6:35 p.m., the SLS cleared the tower and began its roll maneuver to the proper heading. At 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the flight, the SRBs exhausted their fuel and were jettisoned at an altitude of approximately 30 miles. The core stage continued to fire for another 6 minutes, accelerating Orion to nearly 17,500 miles per hour before the main engine cutoff. At 8 minutes and 18 seconds mark, the core separated from Orion and the attached ICPS. At this point, Orion was placed in a highly elliptical and unstable orbit. After that, the ICPS fired twice, putting the Orion on a safe, low Earth orbit, with its highest point being roughly 43,700 miles and lowest point being approximately 119 miles. At this phase, it took Orion 24 hours to circle the Earth. During this phase, the crew performed the proximity operations demonstration. At 3 hours and 24 minutes mark, Orion successfully detached from ICPS. After separating, pilot Victor Glover used Orion's onboard cameras and manual flight controllers to navigate the spacecraft back toward the spent upper stage. This maneuver demonstrated Orion's handling qualities and the crew's ability to manually dock or maneuver in close proximity to another vehicle, a skill essential for future missions involving the Lunar Gateway. At 4 hours and 52 minutes mark, Orion safely pulled away from ICPS. Following the disposal, the crew removed their launch suits, reconfigured the cabin for living, and entered their first sleep cycle. On Flight Day 2, after confirming all systems were nominal, at 25 hours and 30 minutes into the mission, the Orion's ESM performed the Translunar Injection, or TLI, burn. This maneuver increased Orion's velocity to 24,500 miles per hour, enough to break free of Earth's primary gravitational pull and set a free return trajectory course for the Moon. The transit to the Moon lasted approximately 4 days. During this period, the crew tested the optical communications, or O2O system, which uses lasers rather than traditional radio waves to transmit high-definition video and large datasets to Earth. The crew also monitored radiation levels as they passed through the Van Allen belts. On Flight Day 6 at 2:44 p.m., Orion started its flyby of the Moon. Because the flyby occurred on the far side, the crew experienced a period of planned radio silence for 40 minutes as the bulk of the Moon blocked communications with Earth. During this window, the astronauts performed high-resolution photography of the lunar terrain, specifically focusing on the South Pole regions targeted for the Artemis IV landing. At 7 p.m., Orion made its closest approach with the Moon at just 4,067 miles above the lunar far-side surface. Shortly after emerging from behind the Moon, the mission reached its maximum distance from Earth, 252,756 miles. This is a new record for any human to be that far from Earth. The return leg of the mission took approximately 4 days as Earth's gravity accelerated the spacecraft. On the final day of the mission, the Orion crew module separated from the ESM. The ESM was disposed of in the atmosphere, leaving the crew in the heat shield-protected capsule. Orion utilized a skip entry maneuver to manage the intense heat and G-loads of re-entry. At 7:53 p.m., traveling at nearly 25,000 miles per hour, the capsule first dipped into the upper layers of the atmosphere to bleed off velocity. It then skipped back out momentarily, much like a stone across a pond, before making a final descent. At an altitude of 24,000 feet, the forward bay cover was jettisoned to allow the deployment of 2 drogue parachutes. These stabilized the capsule before the 3 massive main parachutes unfurled at 6,000 feet at 8:04 p.m. At 8:07 p.m., splashdown occurred in the Pacific Ocean off the coast of San Diego. The USS John P. Murtha, a Navy recovery ship, was positioned nearby to retrieve the capsule and the crew. Divers secured the spacecraft and towed it into the ship's well deck at 9:35 p.m., marking the successful completion of the Artemis II mission.